Look, lots of talk about this public order bill. This is very much another one of Rishi Sunak's babies. How would that change things as we're just recovering from the World Snooker disruption, the Grand National disruption, and now talk of the London Marathon?
Well, the reality is it isn't going to change much, is it? Because if you are hell-bent on disrupting one of these events and getting your point across in a protest, you're going to do it. But what the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary will be hoping that these new crackdowns do is essentially act as a deterrent, that actually, you know, the cost of disrupting these types of events is going to be more than it is currently. But I don't think we're actually going to see a huge difference because these protesters clearly have a point to make and they're going to do it at all costs.
And this is a difficult one to police, really. You know, a massive event over, geographically, a large area, 26.2 miles. And 30,000 protesters, they reckon.
It's a huge number, isn't it? And I just think I feel sorry for the people that have been training, you know, gruelling, slogging away for charity on the most part. And these people are going to have their day potentially disrupted. And it's another thing to think about as they're running their 26.2 miles. So I just think
what will happen this time? You say another thing to think about. The police, whatever, won't use batons on them. They won't use excessive force on them. But I think runners may. I think if you get in the way of someone's training, which has gone on for a whole year, you're just going to get a sock in the mouth, really.
Yeah, and it just sows that social disharmony that we could really do without. And we don't want to go down the route of America with heavy-handed policing. I think that's quite clear. But what we do need is there to be a clear deterrent that if you do muck up these events, if you do disrupt people's enjoyment or people's training, there has to be consequences. And as you say, Eamon, it might not be the police that are the ones regulating that or policing that, but it may well be those who are on the receiving end.
Because we have a proud tradition of peaceful protest and, you know, everyone wants to protect that. But this is the sort of shift, isn't it, away from those peaceful protests, marching, whatever it might be, waving placards, to disrupting events where people have spent money, people have trained, people are in their downtime. You can't escape politics wherever you go today. But as you say, very difficult for the police to police, not least because they were accused of being heavy-handed in the wake of the Sarah Everard vigil, for example. Trying to find that balance is a very difficult path to walk.
And let's not forget the backdrop here. The police are under scrutiny for their own actions on multiple fronts. So I think we're in a difficult situation where we're giving the police more powers ultimately, but the police have their own issues with how they use those powers. So it's a very tricky balancing act. But this is important from a political standpoint. I think the public do care about having these protesters seem to be running riot across the country. And I think if Rishi Sunak can get a hold on this, and it does potentially give him a boost at the ballot box, but it isn't an easy one to solve by any means.
And do you think it's what the public want to see?
I think it is, Eamon. I think even if you have sympathy for the climate cause, and I think most people understand that it is an issue, but it's the way in which these protesters are going about it. It's disrupting people on their way to work. It's disrupting people as they go to see sporting events, as they partake in their hobbies.